Hello, all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to all those who are watching this class live. Today, we will be doing some IELTS speaking practice with myself. And my name is Alex, and I look forward to doing the practice with as many of you as possible. I'll be going through some of the key elements of the speaking exam, some of the tips that you need to use, and also some of the procedures involved in speaking. And I'll be looking to give you feedback on your strengths and also areas of improvement in order to give you as much opportunity of scoring as highly as you possibly can when it comes to the IELTS speaking test. So welcome to all of you. I hope that you've had a great week so far. We've almost reached the weekend, but I hope it has been a productive week, and I hope that you've got some really useful work done with your IELTS studies. So if you are watching this class live, please let me know in the chat box. We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, as well as streaming within StreamYard as well. So let me know, and if you have any questions or comments throughout the class, also please let me know in the chat box and I will address as many of them as possible. So hello to Omir, Mia and Gladys. Great to see you all in the class. Gladys watching from the Philippines. Welcome to you. Hello also to Nelly and Lukman as well. Lukman is in Bangladesh. So as usual, people from all over the world watching this class at the moment. I hope that you all find it useful. Hello to Angelina, Eagle, and Angel as well, or Angel, who's watching from Saudi Arabia. And yeah, welcome to all of you. I can also see that we've got some students that have joined us live in the class as well. So we'll be doing speaking practice with all of the students that have joined us in the class live. And I look forward to getting that practice going. Hello to Christina, who is watching from the Philippines, and Nelly also is watching from the Philippines. Mia is in England, so just the same as me. I'm currently in England as well. So great to see you all. Jane Ann as well has joined us. Hello to you. And Navjot has joined us too, who is from India. And Daveen, good evening to you, Daveen, from the UAE. Great to see you in the class. And also we have Maria Avel Naliv as well, who is watching from Abu Dhabi. So Gladys, who has joined us. So you participated in this class last year and you achieved your desired band score. That's great to hear, Gladys. Congratulations on that. Does that mean that you've passed the IELTS? Nasajigwa from Tanzania, welcome to you. And also Jinky, who you have Trinidad as part of your handle, so I'm assuming you joined us from Trinidad. Great to see you in the class. Jay Sri, welcome to the class. The UAE is where you're working. Wonderful, and obviously as well, I recognise your contributions during the IELTS answer analysis class. That's great. Okay. So let's have a look then at the materials for today. As usual, of course, we'll be looking at the speaking test, but I want to focus on a particular element of the test in order to provide some feedback and guidance going forward. Just before we do this, I want to make you aware of the free IELTS Masterclass that we have available for students at the moment. If you are interested in taking advantage of this great opportunity for a free masterclass in IELTS, then please contact support@Swoosh English for further information. So, looking at the materials then for today, I want to do some practice with parts 1 and 2. We spent a long time looking at part 3 last week, and of course we'll come back to it. But starting off with part one, it's important that we start off well because we want to give a good impression to the examiner right from the start of the test. So doing part one successfully will help to do that and will help to create a positive image in the examiner's mind if we're able to perform well in this section. So just a quick review then of part one. It lasts for between 4 to 5 minutes, and it will start with you providing details about yourself, so your name and your identification. The questions that you'll have with part one would usually begin with questions on hometown, family, jobs, your job and studies. But then after those topics, there will be questions on 2 to 3 other topics which you will not know in advance. They could be on virtually anything, but some examples are travel, hobbies, and national celebrations. The key with the questions for part one is to give responses that are accurate, which show some extension of language. And also, as I said right at the offset, responses which give a good impression of you as an English speaker. So one of the areas where a lot of candidates make mistakes when it comes to part one is with dealing with tenses. So the questions in part one can focus on a variety of moments. They can focus on the past, the present, or the future. And so the key is that when we're answering these questions, we need to make sure that we're using the appropriate tense. So let's have a look at an example question that you could be asked in speaking part one. The examiner might ask you, what music did you listen to as a child? So here's a response. I listen to lots of different singers. My favorite singer is Ricky Martin. So bearing in mind the question, what mistakes has the speaker made in giving this response? What can you identify here in terms of an error? So just let me know in the chat box if you can see any particular errors that were made. Okay. Okay, good. So Navjot there is identifying the fact that the answer is given in the present tense. Good, exactly. So this is the issue. The question is focusing on the past, isn't it? It's as a child. You're an adult now, you're not a child anymore. So you'd want to give a response that focused on the past tense. So a way that we could improve our response here, rather than I listen to lots of different singers, my favorite singer is Ricky Martin, both of these examples using the past tense, we would want to use using the present tense, we'd want to use the past tense. So yeah, I listened to lots of different singers. My favorite singer was Ricky Martin. So just identifying the tense which we should be using is an important element of giving accurate responses to questions in part one. Let's have a look at another example. So here the examiner asks, do you think music will continue to be important to you in the future? And the response is, yes, I think so. Music is something I always listen to. I don't think that changes. So what can you identify here in terms of errors with the speaker's response? So again, just let me know in the chat if you can see any errors that the speaker has made. Okay, so Maria likes it. It sounds good. Okay, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it in terms of the sentence in and of itself. However, it's got to be looked at in relation to the question. And if we look at the question, yeah, that's been identified with Adajet and also Navjot. Well done in the chat there. Yeah. The problem is that the question is focusing on the future, isn't it? Clearly. Do you think music will continue to be important to you in the future? And all the responses are in the present tense. So if we have a look here, we can identify the errors. Yeah, music is something I always listen to. Present tense focus. I don't think that changes. Again, present tense focus. It's not appropriate. We should be using a focus on the future tense, or at least a link with the future. So a way that we could improve this would be to say, music is something I've always listened to. So here we're using the present perfect, linking the past to the present and showing a possibility of the future as well. I don't think that will change. Okay, so we can see now the relevance of the first part of this sentence. If it's something you've always done, it was true in the past, it's true now, and as a result, I believe that will also be true in the future. So the response has to be relevant to the question, not just in terms of the topic, but also in terms of the tense. And obviously that is a major part of the grammar. So that's what I want you to be thinking about in your responses to the questions in question part 1. So let's have a look at some more examples. So we've got here 3 questions. Looking at these questions, just share with me in the chat box which tenses you would use for each of the questions. There might be more than one possibility, but let me know. Okay. So if you've got any ideas on this, just let me know in the chat box as usual. For the first question, what do we think? Do you like change? Why? What about question number 2? So we've got some ideas being shared here. We've got Krishna is saying present perfect. For the first one, future. For the second one, that definitely makes sense, doesn't it? What do you plan to change next year? The future would make sense for that. Jayshree is saying present, past, and then future. So do you like change? Present tense? Yeah, that makes sense. You're asking about your current perception, your current situation. Angelina is saying second question should be the future. So good. Okay, so lots of logical suggestions here. So let's have a look. So for the first one, definitely present simple. An example might be, yes, I like changes because they force you to adapt and improve. So here we're using present tense, aren't we? I like changes, they force you. So it's all the present tense here. Second question, what do you plan to change next year? Is the future. Next year, I'm going to try to find more time to spend with friends and family. So going to as a reference to the future. And the third question, have you changed a lot since your childhood? Well, here we could use the past and the present because we're talking about a change. So I used to be quite selfish, referring to a habit in the past, but now I spend more time thinking about others. So we've gone from using the past to talk about something that was true to focusing on the present because a change has occurred from the present to the past. So these are some logical ways we could approach these questions. As I say, this is something I want you to think about when it comes to answering questions in part 1 of the IELTS exam. Are you using the appropriate tense? And if you are, then you will obviously get credit for doing so. So let's do some practice now then. Let me bring one of our students into the class so that we can do this. And I can see here we've got Peter. So Peter, I'm going to bring you into the class now. Hi there, Peter.
Hi, Alex.
How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you.
Good. Glad to hear it. Where are you at the moment?
I'm currently on a holiday. I'm with my family here in a hotel in Abu Dhabi, UAE.
Oh, okay. You're in a hotel
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
leisure or not
yeah,
for
for
quarantine?
leisure. Yeah, for leisure.
For
Yeah, here's my son right here.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter. So I'm going to ask you some questions then from part 1 of the speaking exam. And yeah, all I want you to do is just give me your responses to these questions. Okay,
Okay, sure.
perfect. Okay, so first question then, Peter. Do you like change?
Yes, I do like change because having a change in life would mean that you have improved from your previous attitude. So having an improvement in life would lead to a success, I would say.
And what do you plan to change next year?
Well, next year I am planning to be more patient. Patient in means of uh, waiting for the right time for the correct opportunities to come in my life and for the improvement of my family. So I would be more patient into like waiting for those kind of things.
Do you think you'll be successful in your plans?
Well, I would say that I would be successful if I would maintain those kind uh, uh, of being patient, and if I would be able to maintain those kind of attitude or characteristic, I would be more successful in the future, I would say, and yeah.
Have you changed a lot since your childhood?
Well, I do believe that I've changed a lot. So when I was a child, I would say I was a bit like hard-headed. Like I would give up easily in a particular challenge. But now I've learned a lot from life. Been more mature, and I've experienced a lot of difficulties that I usually imply in present life. So with those kind of experience that I've learned from the past, uh, I would say I become more successful and became more stronger. I would say in terms of uh, my moral values.
Have there been any positive changes in your country recently?
Well, I do believe a positive change that had recently happened in my home country is the availability of the COVID-19 vaccine. Having this opportunity in a particular country would help the economy to grow, from example, because it had been in its lowest in the past because the pandemic had dealt a lot of pressure from the government, especially to the economy of the country. So having the vaccine recently in my home country, I think it would help a lot for so that our economy would uh, like uh, go stronger, I would say.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter.
Uh,
Yeah, a really nice array of tenses today. Since we were looking at tenses at the beginning, it was good to hear you use some good variety there.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, so particularly with the present perfect, I think, with the first question, you're talking about changes and you're saying that one of the benefits is that it shows that you have improved. So you're linking the past to the present there, which was done very nicely. Um, there was a lot of present perfect. You said I've learned a lot as well. Again, linking the past to the present. Yeah, I've become. You talked about your values have changed. You said you've become stronger, if I remember
Stronger.
correctly. Yeah. So there was some good use of that. Also, with the future, there was good use of present perfect. You talked about. You said I'm planning to make changes as well. So that was, yeah, that was good. Um, there was also some good use of vocabulary as well. So hard-headed was a nice adjective use. Sort of less common vocabulary, um,
Yeah.
and also, yeah, you talked about your values as well, which was nice. Yeah, maintaining an attitude as well. So there was some good collocation in there. Yeah, just some points I'd make. So just be careful with overuse of would, because one of the questions was, do you think you'll be successful? You said, I would be successful if I would, and then you said, yeah, maintain that
Oh yeah.
attitude. But you would use
Okay.
would if it was something that was unlikely to be true.
Okay.
Yeah, so better to use will. So I will be successful if I maintain.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so in that case, yeah, using the first conditional as opposed to the second. Um, And also at the end where you said, I think, the vaccine, I think it would help a lot. Again, will is better because we use will for situations that are likely or possible, and would is more for hypothetical situations.
Okay,
So
okay, sure. I'll take note
yes,
of that. Sure.
yeah. And just a final thing as well, the tense, like I said, generally used very well, but there was one point where you used the past perfect. You said it had recently happened, about, again, the vaccine, I think it was. But if something's happened recently, that's when we'd use the present perfect. So you say it has recently happened in that
Okay.
case.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I say, yeah, definitely some good points there, Peter. Just a few things, just a bit of feedback
Yeah.
to reflect on.
Thank you, Alex, for enlightening me on how to use the will and would.
You're very welcome, Peter. You're very
Yeah,
welcome. Thank
yeah.
you for getting us
Thank you.
started here. Great
Yeah.
stuff. Okay. Um, so just a question here. I can see how many questions the exam usually asks in part one. So part one is 4 to 5 minutes, so it depends how long your responses are. But you'll have the introductory questions, giving your name, where you're from, do you work or study, something usually as well about your hometown. Um, But generally speaking, there are questions. There are quite a few questions for part one, so you should expect to answer questions on 3 to 4 different topics in total. 2 to 3 sentences will be enough to answer the questions. You don't have to give a lot of expansion. And in fact, Peter's responses were a good example. They were a good length. He gave an answer and then he explained his response. So yeah, that's a good length for part one. Okay, so I'm going to bring another student into the class. Let me bring Eagle in now. Hi there, Eagle.
Hello,
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm duty right now.
You're better, did you say?
I'm at work right now.
Oh, you're at work. Okay, you're just taking a short break.
Yeah,
And where are you working?
now I have a break time.
Okay, okay. So, Eagle, are you ready to do some part one practice today?
Give me a try.
Yeah, let's have a go. Okay, so we'll look at a different topic this time. And the topic we're looking at is hurrying. Um, so first question for you then, Peter. Do you like to be in a hurry? Sorry,
Uh,
Eagle.
not actually. No. Especially in my case as a nurse, I usually need to be more vigilant in my every step that I need to do, especially thinking about every action that I need to do in my patient. So, uh, well, being in a hurry is not possible in my case as a ER nurse.
Okay. Uh, do you like to finish things quickly?
Well, yes, of course. So I am one of the type of person that I need everything must be organized, and of course, using that thing, so very important and or even very significant to finish everything in the fastest way that I could.
Okay. When was the last time you did something in a hurry?
Uh, when we had an emergency situation in my department, so I need to act very fast at that time in order to deal with the life and death situation of my patient in order to um, carry out the doctor's order for the treatment of my patient.
Mhm. What kind of things would you never do in a hurry?
Well, of course, in my case as a nurse, so I don't usually do giving medication in the fastest way without thinking about the right dose or even the uh, right time for my specific client or patient.
Okay. And what advice would you give to people who find it difficult not to be in a hurry?
Well, for me, so they must need to think clearly. They need to have clear minds in order for them to think well, in order for them to have the great action for the specific situation or case.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much there, Eagle.
Thank you.
Some good responses to the questions. Um, yeah, I thought particularly what was strong was your use of vocabulary. So I like the use of vigilant. That was a nice adjective to use. There's also some good use of phrasal verbs and expressions. So deal with, carry out, um, good appropriate expressions to use within the context of speaking. You also used prepositions accurately, thinking about, and there was some variety as well. So we had a superlative, you're talking about the fastest way to do something. So there was good variety of grammar and vocabulary. Um, just some advice I'll give. So in terms of intonation, the intonation is sometimes quite flat. So
Mhm.
it wasn't clear to me when you'd finished answering the question. So
Okay.
you kind of so yeah, so you can sort of use intonation to kind of say, at the end. So and that's what I think, and that's why it's better not to be in a
Uh,
hurry.
yeah.
So just kind of the way that you would use intonation signals to the listener that you finished, and then the next question can be moved on to.
All right.
Um, so I think that would be good. There was also just a little bit of hesitation at times as well. So your accuracy is good, but sometimes the fluency is impacted just because there are pauses in the response. So I would say if you're able to just reduce those pauses a bit, just have a slightly quicker pace to your speaking, then that would give you a higher score for fluency. So yeah, the accuracy is looking really good, but as I say, intonation and fluency, I think, are areas where you could get a higher score with making some adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just a final point, because we're looking at verbs. So you were referring to the past, talking about dealing with a patient, and at one point you said, "I need to act very fast," but because it's in the past, it should have been needed.
Mm-hmm.
Just beware. This sometimes can be a pronunciation issue more than a grammar issue. But if you have a verb that ends with a D or a T, then you add id in the past. So yeah, needed, wanted, um, heeded, any word that ends with a T or a D, we have this id at the end to signify that it's the past. Um, but yeah, thank you very much, Eagle.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's great. Okay, so let's see who I'm going to bring in next. Next, I'll bring in Clairly to the class to do a bit more practice. Hi there, Clairly.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine, doing good.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. I saw your face for a
Yeah.
moment there, Clairly. You popped up for a moment and then you disappeared.
Yeah. Sorry for that.
No, it's good. We like to see your face if you're happy to appear. No problem with that at all. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Okay. So, where are you at the moment?
At the moment, I'm living here in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh.
Okay, in Riyadh
Mm-mm.
at the moment. Working hard
Yes.
in Riyadh?
Sorry, come again?
Are you working hard?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
this is the time, isn't it?
Especially
Where
having especially having a 1-year-old son.
oh, okay. You got to work hard outside and inside the house.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Definitely.
Okay. Okay, clearly. So we're going to look at the topic of sport this time. So are you ready to answer some questions on sport?
Yeah, sure. I'll give it a try.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, so first question, Clearly, do you like sport?
Yes, I do like sports. When I was younger, I used to play volleyball in junior high school and up until I was in second year college.
Okay. And what is your favorite sport?
My favorite sport is volleyball. Obviously that's the only sport that I play up until now. When I was new here in Riyadh, in my first 2 years, I tried playing squash, but I didn't like it at all, and it seems like I don't have talent for it. I don't have the skills for it, so I gave up on it.
Okay. And do you still play volleyball now?
As of now, no, because I have no time. Work is a lot work is more demanding now, and I have a son to take care of. I have a family to watch out for. That's why I don't have time for volleyball now.
Okay. Um, when you do play sport, or when you used to play sport, do you prefer team sports or individual sports?
I prefer team sports, because team sports, it's like, when they do when uh when you do like, it shows more sportsmanship. It shows more teamwork, and it will practice your discipline, and it will practice camaraderie amongst you and your teammates.
Okay. How do most people in your country keep fit?
In my country, the most popular sport, I could say, is basketball. So in every corner of the street, you will see a ring, and people, men particularly, playing basketball. It's either half court, or sometimes when the space permits, they would do whole court. So in my country, yeah, it's basketball.
Okay. And are you a fan of any sports teams?
Sports teams? No, honestly, no. I don't have any. I'm not a particular fan. I'm not a fan of any particular team. I can't remember anything that I'm a fan of. Sorry.
Are there any sports teams that are popular in your country?
Sports team that are popular in my country, as far as I could remember, Ginebra. Ginebra is a team in basketball, and yeah, as I've said, basketball is a popular sport in our country. And Ginebra is the most popular team there.
Okay. Very nice. Okay. Thank you very much, Clelly.
Oh my god, I'm so I'm so nervous.
You felt a little bit nervous. You gave some good responses. I thought you did very well in your responses there, clearly. So yeah, some nice expressions you were using. So you said that when you were referring to the sport that you tried, you said I didn't like it at all. It was nice for emphasis. At all was a nice way of emphasizing it, and then you gave up. So again, a nice phrasal verb that you're using there. Um, Also, other nice language you're using: sportsmanship, less common language, which was nice, and camaraderie as well was a nice term to use. So yeah, lots of good vocabulary that you were using there in response to the questions. You developed your responses well too, so it was appropriate length that you were speaking for per question, so that was positive. I think all I would say is, and I think this might have been because you were nervous, there was sometimes repetition, so
Yeah.
you would yeah, you would sometimes kind of repeat yourself a bit. It was almost like you were kind of second guessing yourself sometimes, and I think that was more of a confidence thing. um, so it's worth getting. I mean, this is why we do classes like this, so you can have as much practice as possible with this to kind of try to conquer the nerves a little bit, so that you
Yes,
can
that's
you can
true.
show your best side. Um, So yeah, I think that was coming up a little bit, and also some hesitation as well, which I think was also for the same reason. I think just a little bit of nervousness. But your accuracy was really good. The only thing that I picked up on was just a small point. You talked about the fact that people would play basketball. You said in every corner of the street. Usually would use the preposition on. So on every corner.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Okay. On
yeah.
every. Oh, yeah, because in means like inside.
Usually, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Now, okay. Now I get it.
That was it. But yeah, apart from that, really accurate there, clearly. So yeah, the more practice you have, the more the calmer you should feel. So yeah, good stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's great. Okay. So great for the people that have practiced so far. We're going to do some more practice going forward. Just before we do, I'd just like to remind you again about the free IELTS Masterclass, which we have available at the moment with Swoosh English, which you can sign up for today. So do contact support@Swoosh English if you would like to find out more about that opportunity, and we can give you that information and help you move forward with your IELTS goals. So yeah, great opportunity to take advantage of there. So we've looked a lot at part one so far. I want to move on to looking at some part two questions now. And with part two, the point I was making before in terms of tense is the same, but of course our responses have to be more developed. We're only going to answer one point, but there are a number of different elements of that point that we have to cover in our response. So with speaking part two, I'm sure most of us are familiar now that we should expect it to last between 3 to 4 minutes in total, and that you will begin this part of the exam with the presentation of a question. It will be presented to you by the examiner. You have 1 minute to prepare your response, and then you should speak for up to 2 minutes. And I always emphasize that it's important to aim to speak for the full 2 minutes, because the examiner will expect you to be prepared to do that. So if they stop you before 2 minutes, okay, that's fine, that might happen, but always be prepared to go for 2 minutes, because you may be required to do that in the exam room. So let's have a look at a part two question. We can see we've got one here on the screen relating to imagination. And I'm going to bring in a student now so that we can have some practice with this question. So let me bring Alice into the class. Hi there, Alice.
Hello.
Hi, Alice. Hi. How are you doing, Alice?
How are you?
I'm
Hi,
all
very
right,
fine,
thanks.
thank you.
Good. Glad to hear that you're doing well. Have you had a busy week?
Yes, it has been quite busy, but I can't complain because at least I'm well. COVID cases are on the rise in my country.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
But you're keeping safe and well.
Sure.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Long may it continue. Okay, Alice. So we're looking at part two questions now. So you can see the question on the screen. Are you ready to begin to have a go with this question?
Yes, we can go ahead.
Brilliant. Okay, so you've got a minute to prepare. I always advise that you make some notes for this section. So your minute to prepare starts now.
Alex, just 1 minute. There's a technical problem. I think I can't see your screen.
You can't see my screen. What can you see?
I think I don't know what I've done. I think I was just about to open another window, so I'm not able to see the screen, unfortunately.
Can you not click back onto, where are you watching this class, Alice? Are you in StreamYard?
Yes.
So can't you click back onto the StreamYard page on the tab?
Probably I could request you to get another student, then I have to log in again. I can't see. Yeah, kindly. And then I log in again.
No worries. Okay. We'll come back to you then, Alice. Okay. So in that case, let me bring Shirley into the class. Are you there, Shirley?
Yes, I'm here. Good.
Hi there,
Good
Shirley.
afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm off.
Good. You're off. Oh, so you've got lots of free time to study.
Yes.
Good, good, good. Okay then, Shirley. So we were going to have a look at this question with Alice, but obviously there's been some technical problems. So are you ready to have a look at this question here, Shirley?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay then. So you've got a minute then to prepare your response, starting from now. Okay, Shirley, are you ready to begin?
Okay.
Okay, so please describe a time in which you had to use imagination.
Okay. I'm working as a staff nurse, and right now I'm working as a tissue viability nurse, and I'm facing a lot of different kinds of wound or tissue injury to our COVID patients because most of the time they are bedridden and confined to a bed. So at the end uh, they would end up having a pressure injury. So in that cases, I have to do or use my imagination in sense of I have to engineer some way of dressing that could be very effective for the patient and that would not interfere to their skin integrity as much as possible. And sometimes also there are a lack there's a missing items or materials that needed in our dressing procedure. So I had to do something to create a good environment for the healing of the wound. So I think the imagination, nurses have a good imagination in taking care of nurses, not only with dealing with the wound, but in every aspect of nursing. Nurses, I believe, are some sort of art that everyone should be resourceful. Yeah, should be resourceful so that we could deliver the best quality of care that our patient needed. So in every time I would do such thing in my patient, I felt proud of myself and somehow confident that I do a right thing, and even with a heavy scheduled and hectic activity in the ward, I could able to produce some what
Okay,
do you call
that's great, Shirley. Don't worry, we've gone beyond the 2 minutes there, so no worries. So, what were you at the end there? Were you trying to think of a specific word or phrase to finish your
Yes,
idea?
yes.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so yeah, I thought you did well there. You were speaking for the full 2 minutes, and you were using background knowledge, as Maria pointed out in the chat there. You made good use, obviously, of your experience and knowledge from your work, and made it relevant to the question. So that's a really important thing to do. Some people, they look at questions for part 2 and they think, oh, I don't know what to talk about. My mind has gone blank. But use your background, use your experience, and that's what you've done, and that's what you did very effectively to answer this question. There was some good use of language in there. So you talked about patients who were bedridden. Obviously, again, using the language that you have from your background and your profession. You talked about nurses having to be resourceful. There was some nice use of superlatives as well, providing the best quality of care. So yeah, making it relevant to your profession means obviously you can use some of this language which you are clearly familiar with, which is related to your work. Just some slips in terms of grammar. So at one point you talked about, you said in that cases, but obviously cases being plural, you'd want to use those. So in those cases is what you'd want to use there. Also, just with preposition use, you said something that would not interfere to, but interfere, the preposition we use is with. So interfere with, in this case, I think equipment, or interfere with their recovery. And also, just at the end there, you were saying, I could able to produce, but if you use could, then don't use able, because able you would use with the verb to be. So I was able to produce, or I could, but don't use both of them together, because grammatically that's incorrect to do that. So just a few points there, Shirley, but yeah, I thought you did really well. Just towards the end, the hesitation was coming in, I think, because you were starting to run out of topics to talk about a bit. But for most of the speaking, I thought your pace was good. So yeah, that was a positive element as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Shirley. Have a great weekend. Okay, so let's move on to another question. Let's see if I've got Alice has come up now, back into the class. Are you there, Alice?
Yes, I am, Alex.
Fantastic. Have you sorted the technical issues now? Are we good to go?
I'm just hoping that I don't have an echo.
You
Am I
don't?
clear?
Okay. Yeah, I can't hear any echoes.
Okay.
I can see you joined the stream on 2 devices, so I can remove you on the other device.
Yeah, kindly.
Yeah, let me just do that then, and then that should avoid that potential issue. Yeah. Okay. So we shouldn't have any issues with that now. Okay. So let me move on to another part 2 question. And here we've got a decision. So yeah, a different question for you than Alice, just to introduce a bit of variety. You have 1 minute to prepare. Are you ready?
I am not sure what is happening, Alex. Like now when you removed one of the, I'm actually using one phone, so
Okay.
now I can't see the screen. So I really do not know what the problem is, but at least now the echo has disappeared.
Okay, but you can't see the screen.
No, I can't see the screen.
Okay, that's going to cause a bit of an issue.
It's okay, Alex. I'm good now. I'm good. Technology.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes.
No worries.
Thank you.
No worries. Now you can see it. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Brilliant. That's no problem at all. Okay, so Alice, you've got 1 minute then to prepare your response to this question. Okay, Alice, are you ready to begin? Alice? Have we lost her? Oh, it seems like we've lost her. Hi, Alice.
Hi,
Are you
Alex.
there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can, yeah. You dropped
can
out
hear
for
me?
a moment there. I can hear you, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Brilliant. Okay, so are you ready to begin?
Yes, I can.
Perfect.
I wish to talk about how I planned a few weeks ago, about 2 weeks, on how to go about revising for my IELTS. It's been a tough journey because since the time I began to practice, it's not been very easy. I would say that it's one of the toughest things that I've done in the recent past. But one of the things I came up with was to ensure that every day I do something different. And I considered the fact that since we have 4 areas that are being tested, I require to make sure that I practice in all the 4 areas. And I decided, at least in a week, I have organized in such a way that I cover all the areas so that by the time I go for my exam, I'll have covered at least all the areas exhaustively. And I would say that I have seen some increment or rather some difference in terms of how I'm able to perform in all the areas. Unlike before, whereby I used or spent so much time doing the speaking sessions, and I realized that I was not working on the other 3 areas, that is reading, listening, and writing. And I would say that it has helped me because I have been able to target the score that I am required to acquire. And this, I believe, in the long term, or rather in the long run, it is going to help me to achieve my goal. By doing this, I have also discovered that I am not as anxious as I used to be, because I would say it has helped me to point out or to get to understand the areas that I need to improve on. And this, I would say that going forward, I would wish to stick to this because I believe it is going to be fruitful and it will help me to achieve my band score. And I also believe that even after doing the IELTS, it will improve my speaking and all the areas that I need to improve in terms of
Okay.
English.
That's great. Thank you very much, Alice. No
Thank
issues
you.
there in terms of the fluency. You were able to keep going. That's great. So yeah, good to hear that you have adjusted your schedule in terms of your practice schedule, and then it has been fruitful, as you said. Very nice vocabulary item to use. So yeah, some really good use of vocabulary and grammar in there as always, Alice. One nice expression you used, you said, one of the toughest things I've done. So it's always a nice expression, one of the something, and then using it with the present perfect as well, which was great. Also, I like the fact that you're using a less common tense. You said, by the time, I just noted down, by the time you said, I'll have covered. So a nice use of the future perfect, which is as with a less common tense, but you will get credit for using that in the exam. Also, there's one point as well where you did use an expression which was less appropriate, and then you changed it, and then you said, sort of, or rather, to switch. And I thought that was quite nice because we do that quite a lot in speaking, where we say something, actually, I could say that a little bit better, and then we make that change ourselves. So that kind of self-correction is something which is actually a very positive and an advanced thing that we will do as speakers. So that was strong as well. So yeah, some good stuff. I think only little things that I would pick out would be required. So you said at one point, I require to make sure I practice, which just sounded slightly unnatural. Just like I need to make sure would have just sounded a bit more natural in that context. But then you used it in the passive. Then you said, I'm required to acquire, which is grammatically accurate. But again, it's quite formal for spoken conversation. So again, it's something which I need to do, something which I have to do. Would be a little bit more natural within that context. Just sounded a bit formal for spoken communication.
Okay.
So yeah, they're the only things I would pick up on, really. But yeah, apart from that, thank you very much, Alice. I thought it was really good, and some really good examples of language as well that all those watching the class can pick up on.
Thank you, Alex. I was actually very tensed because of what has just happened. I didn't even know that I was going to perform.
Well, you're there, so you're always ready to go when called upon. So Good stuff there, Alice, that you showed that you were ready.
Thank you very much for the feedback.
No worries. You're more than welcome.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got time for one more student to do a little bit more practice. So let me bring Anna into the class. Are you there, Anna?
Yes, I'm here, Alex.
Hi. How you doing?
Hello. I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing pretty well. How's your week been so far?
It was exhausted. I'm very tired doing my
Oh,
work.
okay. Well, we've almost reached the end now. That's the
Yes.
positive thing. Okay, then. So we're going to move on to the final topic for today, which is home. Can you see the information on the screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so if you have a look at this topic card, Anna, you've got a minute to prepare, and then you should speak for up to 2 minutes on this topic. Okay.
Okay.
Brilliant. Okay. So your minute starts now. Okay, Anna, are you ready to begin?
I will try.
Okay, so please describe a home that you visited but did not want to live in.
Okay, I would like to tell you a house that I visited 2 years or maybe 4 years ago. It's located in the Philippines, in the countryside where I live. Actually, this house was built by my father. He was the engineer of this house. It is enormous. I would say it's like a palace when you're like walking into the hallway. It's mesmerizing, and all of the things are very fancy. Like their furnitures are I mean came from different parts of the world because the owner of the house is very popular and very rich in our country. So as I was walking on the I mean inside the hallway, I was struck by this enormous painting, very like vibrant in colors, and then I saw a lot of different colors as well. And when I like go upstairs, they had this elevator, and most people in our country, their houses are not like built in elevator inside their house. So this for me is like very big because how could like how could they afford to buy this kinds of like equipment inside the house. So when I was inside the house, it was very warm, comfortable, and as well as the ambience is very nice because outside you can see trees and as well as swimming pool. They have a large swimming pool with a lot of things
Okay,
there.
thank you very much there, Anna. Very nice description. You've made me want to visit the house.
Yeah, you could.
It sounds lovely. It sounds nice. I will
Yeah.
just point out though, Anna, that it does say describe a home that you visited but did not want to live in.
Ah, yeah.
So yeah, so that final point, explain why you would not like to live there. So I was waiting. I was like, this house sounds amazing. Why does she not want to live there? But
I
you
don't want to
never.
live there because it's very big. and then
Oh,
it's not
okay.
done. Yeah.
So you were building up to that. You were building up to
Yes,
that
yes,
point.
yes.
Okay. But yeah, some really nice use of vocabulary there. Enormous, mesmerizing. That was, some really nice words there. Also, you said you were struck by the size of the house. That was a really nice expression to use as well. You were very comfortable using the passive voice, saying it was built by your father. Nice comparative language, like a palace as well. So yeah, some really nice use of language there, and yeah, you showed that you're able to keep talking for the 2 minutes without much issue. There were some times where there was just moments of hesitation in your speech. It didn't happen all the time, but just some moments where I could see you were hesitating. It seemed like you were thinking about exactly what you wanted to express next. Yeah, that's just something, with obviously with confidence and more practice, you hesitate less, and then you get a higher score for fluency that way. But yeah, aside from that, it was all pretty strong. So also just quickly on grammar, the only grammatical issue that I noticed was that you said furnitures, whereas furniture is uncountable. So we would never use furnitures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those uncountable words, uncountable nouns in English.
Okay.
And also as well, just the pronunciation of comfortable. So comfortable is what you were saying, but comfortable is how we normally pronounce it.
Okay.
It's quite shortened. It's quite truncated. But yeah, those were just a couple of points that I noticed. But I thought you had a very nice structure, some great use of vocabulary, and generally speaking, you were very accurate as well. So yeah, good stuff there, Anna. And thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Alex. Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, so thank you so much to all of those who've participated in today's class, and both with the speaking live and also those who have watched live and participated in the chat box as well. Your participation is very much appreciated. And yeah, we look forward to doing more practice the same time next week. So it just remains for me to remind you once again about the opportunity that we have with the IELTS Masterclass, and to let you know that you can sign up for that today, and you just need to contact support@Swoosh English to get more details on exactly how to do that and how to progress with that. As I say, aside from that, I will see you again next week, and look forward to doing more practice with you in that time. Until then, take care and have a great weekend.